And here we go. Hey everyone, how are you doing? Thanks for joining us today. Please give us a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear us properly. Hopefully you can. We have a tiny little delay. All right, we'll see how we go. Hey, I'm Georgie. I'm from Procreate. I'm joined today by Eleeza and also Lol, who's from Procreate. She's going to be in the chat moderating with you guys. If you have any questions, please let us know in the chat and we will ask Eleeza while she's drawing for you today. So, hey Eleeza, thanks so much for joining us. Do you want to start by telling everyone a little bit about yourself and what you're going to be doing today?
Yeah, everybody, thank you for joining, and thank you Procreate and Georgie for inviting me to this. I'm super excited. I'll be just drawing a painting today for you. And I already have a sketch in mind that I wanted to use, so I'll be just adding to that and showing you the brushes that I use, some of my layering process, some inspiration, and also some of the references I'm going to use just to give you an idea of the thought process behind everything.
Yeah, fantastic. So like I said, guys, questions in the chat and we'll get started. So this piece that you've got for us here, Eleeza, is that originally a traditional sketch?
It is, yeah. I'm showing you real quick. So actually, before we even started, I decided to do a little bit of cropping. It's not the most interesting part to watch me separate drawing from a picture. Basically, what I did is I took a high-res picture of this piece, and it's done. Originally, it is a sketch. So this is what the page looks like. It's a pencil sketch in my moleskin sketchbook. And what I like to preserve, going from this traditional piece to the digital stage of it, will be those, really nice textures that you get with pencil and the paper itself, and even the accidental smudges here and there. Stuff like, let me see if I can show, stuff like, oops, where am I? I'm there. Things like this here. Little, imperfections I actually really like to keep.
I think that's what keeps the charm, right?
Yeah.
If you can keep the little imperfections in there, it's really lovely.
Yeah, so I want to get whatever that essence is and keep it throughout the digital process as well. And Procreate's great for that. I gotta say, once I started using Procreate, that's it. Nothing else does it.
Oh, that's really cute. That's really nice to hear.
Absolutely. And even the tutorial book that I created with 3D Total, I featured Procreate very generously everywhere. Literally all the digital part is done Procreate.
We do have sorry to interrupt you there. Didn't mean to do that. We have a couple questions in the chat about your traditional process actually. Jodhpur would like to know, when you draw traditionally, he's noticed, or they've noticed, sorry, I don't know which gender you are. They've noticed that you use a blending stump, and they'd like to know how do you manage to get so much graphite onto it?
Yeah, it's just a very old one. It's a very old tool, and in a weird way, the more you use it, the better it gets.
Yeah, right.
I don't peel it. I don't clean that thing. I mean, I just keep it neat as much as I can, but for the purpose of smudging, it just accumulates graphite, and at some point it actually becomes almost like a pencil. It's pretty like a kind of happy accident that happened. I've heard people dip it to in graphite powder, or come up with a different way to quote unquote load it with graphite, but I don't do any of that.
That's just a good old friend, that one.
Exactly. Very old school.
They'd also like to know, do you see a difference when you're using Moleskine paper to just regular drawing paper? Is there a reason you prefer Moleskine? If you prefer
Yeah,
Moleskine?
I really like that kind of paper because it's textured but also very waxy. So the surface is smooth and it gives these really nice gradients without being too textury, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. And if I am going for a textual look, then I prefer to manually create it than actually rely on the paper. Sometimes I'm fighting the paper if it's too toothy and texturized. And moleskin seems to be very versatile when it comes to that. It's closer to, I guess, like standard illustration paper,
Yeah.
which is, it's made for all kinds of media, which especially for blending, I think it's important to keep that.
Yeah, for sure. And if you're, using Moleskine and you're smudging with your stubs, and then you're using a slightly textured paper with Moleskine, how did you find that switch to iPad? Do you use a screen protector? What's the change there? Because iPad can have a really glossy screen, which can throw off some
I
artists.
actually like that. I
Yeah,
like
okay.
to be able to, I actually haven't tried a textured surface because I don't think I ever needed it.
Yeah,
I've
right.
never felt like it was something I'm missing. So again, very basic setup, nothing too fancy. But maybe that could be the answer. I just haven't tried it. I'm curious to hear from people if it really makes a difference or not. I don't know.
Yeah.
I used to have a Cintiq, so I'm used to working on that smooth surface from years ago. And
Yeah, okay.
mhm.
Olmorf is asking, this is probably going to be shown when you are painting here in Procreate for us, Eleeza, but they've asked, after you import your scan/photo, do you redo the line work or use the original sketch? I guess we're about to find out.
Yeah, well, it depends on how, what the size I'm going for. If it's like something that I want to keep the original, but obviously I need a incredibly high resolution image, either for printing or for bigger scale things, yes, then I would scan it. In this case, I had a high resolution picture, which I'll keep. It has a little bit of pixelation, but I don't mind that.
Yeah.
And I will obviously go over it many times in many layers. So I don't think that it'll be noticeable. That makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
So it really depends on the purpose of things.
Okay.
And if it's something too bad of a quality, then I'll definitely redraw a lot of stuff in the software.
Yeah.
Here, I'll slowly begin just so that you're not staring at a nothingness. But here's what I did quickly just to show you. All I did was cut out the main shape that I wanted to preserve, and I left out some of the details as you can see. Some of these like kind of squiggly lines up here. I guess they're too hard to cut out, and I can just redraw them. So I preserve the main shape and then those textures, but then the rest I will draw over.
Yeah.
That's what I'll do right now. And I prefer to draw over with very bold colors, just so that I know what's going on and I'm not losing any details. And then later on, I'll change these colors to whatever palette I'm going for. It's more just to know that I haven't missed any lines. Because if I draw with the same shade as the pencil sketch, then I'll have to be like, okay, did I go over this line or that line? That makes sense. Start here, and I love the sketching brushes that come with just getting Procreate. I love all the brushes, I gotta say. A few I've tweaked just here and there, the settings, but for the most part, they're what you get. friend Dylan. He created some really nice pencil brushes that I use often, and I might show you guys how I use these and what they look like.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, let's see. So these lines just to have the challenges. I will begin by doing that. I just want to make sure all the stuff from the sketch is present and I'm not missing anything. And if I can delete that later. So yeah, let me know if you want me to talk over this or not.
Yeah, I think it's always really interesting to get the artist's thoughts as they're painting, if that's something you're comfortable with. Of course, you don't have to.
Yeah, sometimes I just focus a little too much and I forget to blink and talk and breathe.
That's all good. Mandra Tawata would like to know what inspired the idea of this piece in particular.
Yeah, what was the inspiration here? Let me remember. This has been a minute. I had this recurring, is it a dream? Could be based on a dream or just like kind of a daydream about this masked character that stole the moon. So for a while I was doing, I think I did maybe 5 or 6 of these pieces of just this almost like a spirit that was able to steal the moon, and the moon is this tiny little pristine thing, and the spirit was hiding it from the world and protecting it almost like a baby. It's based on that. It's a little bit, I think, an earlier version, so it has like multiple masks around, and then eventually it became just one mask, kind of a floating, almost like spirited away effect for this mask character. So that's where the inspiration came from. I don't remember why that idea came to be, but sometimes I don't question it. I just embrace what's going on and go from there.
Is it something that a character you think you'll develop into the future, or is it just kind of like came to you in a dream, got it on paper, done now?
I would love to. I just don't have a story.
Yeah, fair.
I don't have anything yet. Sometimes that happens, there's these weird ideas, and for whatever reason they stick.
Yeah.
Like a one-off thing. I was thinking about making a story out of it, but so far nothing that we like is coming. All right. This part. So these shapes are not anything particular. They're more like a designy thing, just to break off the space into different areas here. They can be interpreted as, like some kind of a smoke or something magical going on. But literally the point and purpose would be design reasons. I guess there's two purposes.
A little bit of extra spice.
Yes. I like that. It has spice. Visual spice. Seasoning.
Edric would like to know in the comments, do you finish each drawing all in one go, or do you take time and breaks in between other projects?
I definitely take breaks. I mean, sometimes if it happens, it's wonderful if I can finish. Most of the times, though, I definitely take breaks. Things can. I just don't want to ruin something if I'm like not feeling it. I reach a point where I'm like, I don't know what's going on. If I'm happy with the direction, I just have to take a little break and go back to it. So here I'm just gonna I'll play around with lightweight, so I'm gonna make some areas a little thicker and then other ones not so much.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we did keep, separating the regions now and
And I work in layers, with layers at a time. It's one thing that, as much as it drives me crazy sometimes, like which layer has a mistake or a smudge.
Do you use layer select? This is where I jump in and I like spruik Procreate's features and I'm like, yeah, there's something for that.
I don't know.
It's this really cool little feature, and you can set it up to different stuff like touch on canvas with your finger or something. Where if you like hold over that smudge, it'll bring up which layers it's in, and you can just click on that layer and then erase it. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Magic feature. Changed my life when the developers did that one. I was like, this is the best thing, because I'm always like accidentally putting dots of stuff.
So can you show me? Can you just tell me again?
Yeah, sure. It's in it's in actions, prefs, and gesture controls, and then you can choose layer select from the side. I can send that info through to you later.
Okay,
if you want. You can set it up and have
I'll
play.
mess it out right now. But thank you. This is wonderful. I love that. You're constantly adding stuff, and it's becoming more and more exciting. When you added the animation feature, since I did animation for a while,
yeah,
I geeked out. I had to try it, and my daughter tried it too. She really liked it.
Oh, really? Oh,
So we're doing a lot of work.
that's so cool. Yeah. So you are an animator. Actually, you have been for 10 years before you went freelance. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How did you get into that? Is that when you were a kid, you're like, yeah, I want to do animation, I want to do cartoons, or is it something you developed a love for?
Yeah, it's a kind of a very long journey, I guess. When I was 7, we visited Disney World, and I saw somebody animate Beast from Beauty and the Beast, or at least like there was a keyframe from the movie.
Yeah.
I think they have if I'm not mistaken, they have a little studio preview there. I don't know if they have it in right now, but that was, many moons ago. They had something like that. And there was a desk with a bunch of, a stack of paper, and it was Beast on. It was a scene from the movie. I don't remember what scene. And to me, I'm like, oh my God, a human made that. Like, this is drawn by hand, and it's magical, and it moves. And it's emotional, and for some reason, that I think was when the seed was planted in my mind that there's really power and beauty in hand-drawn animation. And years later, I kind of forgot about that, but then it was junior year in high school, and I had to pick university. And I decided that I wanted to study film on top of drawing. And boom, that's when animation just came back in my life. So I went to school for 2D traditional animation at CalArts.
Yeah.
And then I didn't do 2D. I did 3D at Pixar for 10 years. But still, I think that, everything I learned, all the craft was definitely from.
Yeah, for sure. What was your favorite film that you worked on with Pixar?
Ooh, let's see. I loved working on Inside Out.
Oh, that was an amazing movie.
Probably my favorite collection. She was like, Pete's amazing. And then Tony Facchini was doing drawovers for us, meaning once you do your rough pass of animation on each scene, then he would take that scene and literally draw over it just to plus that 2D look. And that was incredible to watch and also experience and learn from that. And also it was like a little bit of, oh my God, we're doing 2D again on a minor scale. So it was awesome. It's a great experience.
So lovely. Did you focus on any particular characters in that movie that you were working on, or were you kind of across the
I
board?
did quite a lot of Joy
Yeah.
and Bing Bong actually.
Oh, really?
So I love Bing Bong. It was very fun to draw, very hard, but super fun
Yeah.
to animate. What am I saying? Not draw, animate. And also, Coco was super fun.
Oh, another fantastic movie. I cried in
That
that
was my
one.
last feature there.
That was your last one there,
And
sorry?
that was my last feature film, and then I worked on the cute little short film Bow that
Yeah.
won the Academy Award
Yeah.
for shorts. That's Domi. She's film. She directed Red. Sorry, Turning Red,
Mm.
and it was incredible too. Again, super fun crew, but also a small crew, so you get to work with the director a lot more, one-on-one.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, you can't really go wrong with any of the movies. Like every movie has have great like super fun memories.
Yeah. Well, that's really beautiful. At what point did you make the decision to go freelance, and how did that decision come about? It's a very big jump.
It is. It's a great question because sometimes I still wonder myself what happened. So when I was still there at Pixar, I didn't do a lot of drawing for obvious reason. CG doesn't really require a lot of drawing, and I just kept doing it. Sneaking sneaking out during lunchtime and go do gesture drawing and do gesture drawing classes, or just do my own personal work. It just became this apparent thing that I'm just not going to stop.
Yeah.
I think it was just time after almost 10 years to go back to drawing, and it just became more and more apparent that that's something I really wanted to dedicate more time to and really turn it into a professional thing. Then my son was born, and I decided that that was kind of a good timing to take a break, but also it's kind of like now or never.
Yeah.
A little bit of that. And that was pre-COVID. I think right before COVID hit.
Yeah,
So
right.
I had no idea that COVID was coming. So it was a little bit of a shock when the whole world shut down.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it was a good challenge to see if this is really my calling. And so far, I can't complain. It's been wonderful.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's fantastic. Just jumping in here, guys. I'm apologize if you can hear any ambient sounds coming from Procreate HQ. It is lunchtime here, so everyone is eating spectacular food and laughing a lot and running through the office yelling. So if you can hear anything, that's what that is. Sorry.
Funny. That's great. So you guys are back in the office.
Yeah, we've been back for a little bit. We had a bit of a work from home time at like the start of this year as well, because Tasmania, where we are, which is an island off Australia for anyone who doesn't know, we had a really good run through the pandemic where, because we were kind of away, we could shut our borders, and then Australia shut their borders, so we were double locked away.
Wow.
And we had it was like about a month and a half at the start of the pandemic where we were like, oh, we'll work from home, but then life went back to normal in Tasmania. And we were just back to, no lockdowns or anything. And then the start of this year, they opened up the borders. Omicron came in, and it was kind of, in a way, like experiencing the pandemic for the first time again in Tasmania.
Wow.
So, yeah. But we are back in the office now, having a great time. We've got some new people that have joined us over the past couple months, so that's very exciting.
That's awesome.
And a new office underway next door as well, which will have a better sound booth. So next time, hopefully, you won't be able to hear people running around the corridors.
There's some charm to that. I can hear it, so I gotta say.
Oh, okay.
And, I don't have headphones either. I know that's a big factor.
Yeah.
So here's some ideas that I wanted to incorporate. So since these figures or one figure, I can't really tell if it's like one figure or many figures. I would say many figures, but in one entity. So this entity, I wanted to kind of create like a sculptural look to it, and I really like the idea of a patina aged look. This is a bronze patina statue that I found that I really like. I like the nice warm lighting on it. So I quickly picked some of the colors to create a palette, very rough palette. And when I did that, I noticed that the blues and blue greenish, like that teal shade, is pretty muted. And I started looking into more like a copper patina, which are, I guess the finish is different than the brass one. It's more prominent, more a vibrant teal that I was thinking. And I found another sculpture with that look, and we just really love the details in the face and kind of in the crevices where the patina is more concentrated. It almost looks like it's inverted. And so I'll keep that here as reference. And the last thing I wanted to just have a little bit more of an understanding of the difference, when the chemical reaction happens between, I think the top is copper, the bottom is brass. So you can already see the different color schemes you get. And so I guess actually the statue in the corner is not brass, it's coppery. So keep that in mind, and yeah, go from here. So that's how I usually work. I have some references, not necessarily in the layers here, but I just wanted to simplify it, so I put everything in Procreate.
And I love that it's called potato chip patina as well.
Yes, potato chip patina. It's cute.
It's excellent. Makes me so snacky.
Oh man, I don't have any snacks. Just have water.
Big regret.
But it's okay.
Monreta Water asks again, just back on our, jumping into freelance conversation. How did you deal with freelancing in lockdown with kids?
It was an adjustment, I gotta say. I don't think anybody really knew what to do in the beginning. Yeah. And I heard this cool phrase that we weren't working from home, we were just at home working. Meaning like there's just a lot of adjustments to do, and it's not necessarily this kind of like, ooh, I'm home in my pajamas working. There's a lot more to that. And yeah, initially it was hard, especially when there's no school and the kids just they need the attention. So obviously that was priority. So things slowed down for me personally for a while. I was just focusing on what I do here, on my online store, and I didn't take like any big commissions or anything, just because I was afraid of the deadlines. I'm like, I have no clue if I can meet any deadlines. So I was very careful with just how much extra work I took on. But eventually it just, things feel more normal. So you get to speed up again. Yeah. And now they're really normal. So quickly, I wanted to show. So here, what I do here is once I have my layers cut out like this, I tend to create a different layer, like a solid color that I can always use for a quick selection tool, basically. And that way I'm not touching any of my pencil drawings. And the pencils that I usually put on, multiply. And try to stick to them as much as I can, but we'll see. We'll see how much I stay true to do that.
It's so cool to see the process with the really bright neon colors. It's really rare to see these sorts of colors used, especially in
really?
the beginning process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know why I started doing it. I think it's like just a very quick visual setup with things that are, I know like what's on what layer. I'm not confused at all. So I used to not do that, and it becomes messy quickly.
Yeah.
And actually, as we're on this topic, I'm going to actually select and create a little more like layers that I know I will need eventually. So I'll create those. So I just want to make these masks their own thing, not by cutting the original drawing, but just creating I want to create a layer just for the faces, and then for the arms, and then the moon. That way I can quickly work on these areas without messing up anything else. Mess this up. Sorry, this is a little boring still, but this prep really helps me. Okay.
Once you have all the foundations kind of laid, it's a lot easier to just get through the rest of the work, hey?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It becomes very, very easy.
While we're working on those selections, Kimmy would like to know, how did you start doing freelance work? Just doing it. They're trying to start their own art commissions and freelance work, and they're just not sure, I guess, how you get off the ground, how you get started.
Yeah, I was already doing some freelance even when I was at Pixar, and that was actually not the easiest thing to do, because when you're when you're working full time, it's hard to be able to cover extra time for extracurricular projects. But I already had my social media presence, and that really helped me. I gotta say that was probably the key factor in all of this, just to be able to have the connections, have people who are interested in my work and they wanted me to do stuff either for them or for their company, whatever it is, either like personal projects or professional. So in a way, I didn't really seek it out. I guess I did enough of what I do where people were like, hey, would you like to do the same things but for me, and I'll pay you.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Absolutely.
And no, that's not entirely the case. Like there's some jobs that I definitely seeked out, but again, I had enough connection, I guess, presence where it was easy to be seen, and almost like I didn't have to really do a lot of like the resume and portfolio route, because it's kind of like all there, and if people see my work and they like my work, it's a matter of just seeing if we can work together.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you say for people beginning and starting out in that freelancing and that commission area that it would be really important to have sort of like a portfolio website, for example, rather than an Instagram, or do you think that social media is enough?
It depends. I guess it depends how you build your social media. I had both. I even have a portfolio. I still
Yeah.
do. I have a resume. I actually recently sent it out to a company I really want to work with. And this is like the first time I've sent it, but I had it. So I'm like, okay, this is, the more you prepare, even if you don't need the stuff that you have,
Mm.
it really helps to also know that you're very prepared.
Yeah.
I did quite a few conventions before becoming a freelancer. That helped a lot too, just to be out there and talk to people in person, especially in an event like Comic-Con or any of these events. Like, it's such a concentrated place of meeting people and talent and getting to network too, if you want. That's something that you're interested in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's where we met in person for the first time. Hey,
That's
Lightbox.
true. Yeah, that was amazing.
Such a good event.
Yeah.
No, I know we spoke about this yesterday when we were setting up, but I'm so excited to be back there again this year.
Oh, can't.
If you guys in the comments are in the California region or just in the US region and are able to get to California, Lightbox Expo is in Pasadena in October, and shout out to those guys. We're super looking forward to being there in person again this year. It's going to be so cool.
Can't wait. I look forward to all these events because it's been too long.
Way too long. Ray wants to know what name is the color of that green?
Of this green?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could look at the hex code.
Let me see. What is this green?
It also may look particularly nice because of the background it's against, so
Yeah.
you might want to try a pale pastel background to get it to look exactly like that if you're trying to use it, Ray.
Yeah, here, if you want to take a screenshot, you can have it. You can have the color.
There you go. There's the green.
This is the green. Like bubblegum mint green. I don't know what it is exactly either. Which is probably not going to be the final color at all. Literally, I'm just separating the green into different layers so that I can use these as quick selection tools later on. Which, I don't know, maybe this is like an archaic process, but I'm so used to doing this that it's not an issue at all.
Yeah, once you have those processes down, it's whatever makes you comfortable. Hey, I will mention the save load selection feature that's in the toolbar that we're looking at, or we were just looking at. Which you can kind of keep those selections in there and then reload them into other layers, but
okay, all these amazing tools that
there's all these little features that have, I mean, they're very recent additions, so like it's not like you've missed them for years or anything. Don't worry about it.
Phew. That's awesome. So I like to keep things together. So let's say the arms, if they're not too like overlapping, I just separate them. I'll keep them on one layer just so that I'm not having like a bajillion layers of hands, especially just 4 hands in here. So trying to be economic with that. And once the setup is done, it'll be more fun, I promise. This is just, I was trying to do this before, but as you can see, it takes a little bit of time. Oh no, where did I let it go? Oh, wrong way. There's my hand. Okay, one last one. Okay. Oh my god, we're 40 minutes in. Are you kidding me? I'm so not fast enough. Let me speed this up.
I've been distracting you with questions. That's all good.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I just get too much into it and kind of slow down and be a little careful, I guess. All right, so the last thing I'm gonna do here is just pop another color just so I know this is all different shades. So now I can see these are pretty much all the layers roughly that I'm going to be using. So now that they're kind of color coded, it's very quick. I can quickly jump to this and here's what I'm going to do. So from this point on, I like to group my drawing, my main drawing. So I do combine down, and this will be my group. I mean, I can rename it, but for the sake of speed, I'm not going to do that. And this will be, so everything that's outside of it, I know I'm eventually going to delete. So it's just a quick way to, turn on and off the actual piece. And same with these, there'll be one group here. That way I can turn on and off in bulk. And this is super basic, nothing. Oh, well, this I can't really group obviously because this will be on top of this one, so this will be the only exception. And yeah, so here I'm going to select the layer for the masks, and I'm going to get my patina here, patina palette, and just start working on these colors. So for now, I'm actually going to go with a standard brush because I need to have these solid colors in there. And I want to know actually what this looks like. Oops. Against the background that I have in mind, which will be more of like a dark gray, I'm gonna actually change the background to that. So I'm gonna do something like in this range for now. And I'm going to zoom in, so I'm going to get this. Oops. Oops. Oh my god. Sorry, guys. Anyway, right. I'm going to get this just closer to the area I'm working in. Okay. And I keep the pencils. So I really like, you get so much just free information, free stuff from the pencils already. So I keep them. And I just want to boost some of these shadows because they kind of get lost. They tend to get lost with the multiply feature. And obviously the blending was the best thing. Love it.
Smudge tool is so much fun.
My favorite in real life and in here. Smudge everything.
Artliet asks, do you have any thoughts or advice on finding your voice as an artist? The rigidity of art school is making art for other people has left them feeling a little bit lost.
I wouldn't worry too much about that, honestly. Sometimes it's too much pressure, especially if you're just starting out. Too much pressure to be thinking about. You have like a specific look or goal that you want to have. I think that just comes with time and practice and just doing the work. I never really knew I had that until actually I was, gosh, I want to say my daughter was just born, and I finally decided I'm gonna make a book.
Yeah,
I
right.
was, I figured it now that I'm a mom, there's really no time ever to do anything. It just became very apparent um, that there's no time. So when I was deciding to do the book and I was getting on my work, it was like a cool surprise. Like, oh, this goes with this. This kind of goes with this, and then I started seeing patterns of stuff that looked similar or just had a similar feeling to it. But again, that was never like a conscious goal or decision. Um, it was not really part of the answer you're looking for, but I just honestly I just don't stress about it at this point. Just make prioritize something else. You know, if it's anatomy or if you're going for like, you know, if you want to work in a specific industry, just work on that and focus on that. You know, if it's concept art and you know a lot of environmental stuff, you're doing character design, obviously characters and live drawing and studying all that. But I mean, in art school, there's already so much pressure. I wouldn't worry about having extra pressure. So
Yeah, a lot of pressure.
okay, so you can tell I'm already adding, just adding volume. I just wanted to make these the volume to be very obvious. So I'm just punching up whatever I had from the pencils, making it more visible and apparent. And accentuate some stuff in the shadows. I'm not really switching with the brushes. I'm just using this basic, like the hard brush, which I like because it has that nice sharp edge, but also can have a little bit of grading to it. It's a pretty versatile brush. And then paired with smudge, just like a real pencil and the blending stump, you get a ton of mileage just of these two things combined.
Do you use the same brush for smudge as you do for paint?
This is a soft blend, so I guess it's a little bit different, but I'm not sure, maybe doesn't make it that big of a difference. I just haven't compared the two. I think this is just whatever I used last, and it worked, so I kept it.
It says, thanks so much for the advice about their finding their voice. They have Raw Materials Volume 1, and it's one of his favorite art books to come back to for inspiration.
Oh my God. That's so sweet. Thank you. Very kind of you to say. All right, I'm getting close to where I'm like happy with this look, and oh, what is this in here? Oops, I think I have some extra unwanted stuff in here. Look at this. Ugh, I have to cut it in 2 layers. There we go. Oops. So I'll go back to deselect them and begin painting. I tend to paint on one layer for the most part. If I do something extra, I would do another layer, paint it, and then merge it. I try to keep things as close to like a traditional canvas, I guess you can call it, as I can. Just because it gets.
Not someone to go crazy with the layers.
I do sometimes. I mean, obviously you can tell it's just pretty layered, but when I'm painting on a specific thing, yeah, I definitely don't go too nuts with it because it confuses my own self like quickly. I'm like, what's going on? And I don't want layers to work against each other either, which has happened before, and especially if I have different like different settings for different layers and they start like working against each other. It's a pain sometimes to control that. I'm not sure actually what's going on in this area here, so I'm gonna change it up a little bit. Clean it up. Oh, okay. I really want to go into the getting that metal look, so I'm just gonna dive right into it.
Oh, we're gonna do some metallics.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna obviously look into the reference and really understand like what's going on. What I love about the idea of a patina, this is like obviously there's two things going on. There's the patina, which is the greenish tint, but there's also that shininess that's I guess from touching the sculpture. And I really like these two things. So I'm gonna incorporate both, hopefully successfully. If not, oh well.
Art is problem solving, right?
Yes. And sometimes, not everything is planned, and that's okay too. So just so that, because I might be erasing a lot of the stuff that I'm doing, I popped another layer, and once I'm happy with this, I'll merge it with the rest. But I just don't know how much of what I'm doing right now I'm gonna actually keep. I'm just roughing it out here, just to get a little bit of that look at the get-go. And I think what I'm gonna do is these lines are kind of like design lines. I might just turn them into like grooves into the actual mask, so they have some kind of relief effect. And this is what I mean. This might be like too much. I already think it's too much, but once I start erasing it, it'll, I'll preserve like a hint of it, and I think it would be nice to look with a textural variety to everything. So you can see, it's like two colors, but already pretty cool effect. So I think for some of my switch brushes, I'm gonna pick one of these. She's from Dylan.
I think, just jumping in, I think the iPad might be frozen on the stream, Eleeza.
Oh no. Is it here? I'm moving it. Can you see it?
No, it's not coming through. Just give us 1 second, guys. We'll be back in a minute. All right, we're back, guys. Sorry for the delay there. We just had a little bit of connectivity issues, but hopefully we'll be good from here out.
So yeah, I was just adding some colors and some shininess here and there. I'm using this pencil brush, and so it has a little bit of texture, not too much.
I have a question here from Procreate HQ actually. Tom, one of our graphic designers, asks, what is the most beneficial and what is the most challenging aspect for you in working digitally?
Oh my gosh, speed is incredibly beneficial. And just, I mean, it's limitless, right? You can do everything and anything, which can be, you know, an issue sometimes if I'm like, okay, there are too many options. I need sometimes until like you have limitations, and that can help too. But I guess the most challenging part is preserving some of that traditional feel. And I've noticed that just having a really good set of brushes and brushes that work the way I want them to work has helped me a lot to be kind of not working against the software and just really like not even think about that I'm not doing traditional stuff. So just having a setup that's efficient, even though it takes a minute to create these brushes and just the right settings and test them out, pays off. So some of these, as I mentioned, or have been tweaked here and there. Not crazily, but enough where, if sensitivity is not what I expect from a certain like pencil brush or smudge or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, just the setup really helps. And yeah, now it's fun because I can take it anywhere, especially if it's like some professional work that I need to do quickly. Incredibly helpful. So you can see I'm not working with like a ton of colors. These are literally the colors I'm using. I haven't even touched the last column yet. So I think that'll be more towards the end. I'll be peppering in some patina texture element, kind of like in here, like some color bleeds and drips. So I tend to work in a pretty limited palette and then expand from there.
Do you find working with a limited palette to begin with helps you, I guess, not get overwhelmed and therefore helps with your creativity and your process?
Oh, yeah. Exactly that.
Having so many options, especially with a digital platform, can be really, I guess, can really delay the process for you, hey?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's like you nailed it. It's just seeing how much you can do with a little bit, and then you're not really, like, you already made your decision. Like, these are the colors, that's it. I'm not going beyond this. And then later on you can play around with changing some colors and trying new combinations just by tweaking the hue, the saturation, all that. But for now, this works, so I'm not gonna veer away too much from what I have.
Have we got any more questions in the chat, guys? There's a lot of discussion happening. If you've got any questions, ping them through and we can ask Eleeza for you.
Yeah, this is fun. This is so therapeutic that I just forget to talk.
That's all good. It's therapeutic just watching as well.
Oh, that's great. I'm so happy that's the effect, and that helps.
I think there was a question earlier about favorite artists, and I actually have that on my little list of questions as well. Do you have any artists that you're currently inspired by, or any favorite artists at this point in time?
Oh my gosh, so many. There are too many names. I absolutely love Sergio Topi's work. Just if you're looking for design inspiration and storytelling within that design, I mean, you can study his stuff like forever. He's probably like my go-to if I'm ever just like, oh, this art thing is too hard, and then you see your stuff and it just fires you up, like, oh my god, okay. I love just looking at classical painters too, Repin and also like the colors scheme sensitivity, sorry, like Francis Bacon is kind of abstract, but also interesting pieces that are sometimes weirdly not abstract.
Yeah, right.
I love Klimt.
Oh yeah.
I love Sheely too. And I always like kind of tell them, I don't know why, I think they actually come from the same school of art. Jenny too, Jenny Sylvia. Love her work. Very powerful. Sometimes overwhelming, like in the best way. Again, she's another example of somebody who does a lot of figurative work but also has an incredible sense of design within that framework. And I don't think my work really reflects any of my art choices. I guess maybe Sergio Topi the most of the list I just gave you, but that's kind of the nice thing too about doing art. Like you don't have to do what you are inspired by. You don't have to necessarily try to copy it, or you know what I mean. There's something about it's like what I like in certain pieces or body of work of an artist doesn't even have to be like the artistic value of what they do. You can literally just be a feeling of like, okay, I love the vibe I'm getting here.
Yeah.
Or like kind of a nice feel, or the view, the world view. So it can be many things that you just get out of that. So here I'm trying to keep the center mask of the focus. So I think the ones on both sides will have a little bit less of that shininess, just so that they don't all look the same. I'm just trying to be a little more choosy here where to do the highlights and little accents. I hope this is helpful, by the way. Let me know if you want me to talk more about what I'm doing, or if it just, is clear enough.
Is it clear enough for everyone in the comments? Let us know if you would like any clarifying questions answered, anything like that. I think there is everything exploration in the comments asked, how do you create those lines patterning on the faces? They really do look like they've been etched out of metal now that you've added those highlights with the bronze coloring there. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's just highlighting them right now. Initially, I just wanted like a textual variety, and I'm obviously have some kind of a topographical feel to it, so they're not super just random squiggles. They go with the topography of the face a little bit, but also there's some shapes that I just like doing in general. And now I'm just kind of highlighting these to make them even more apparent.
Our chat moderator Lol actually has a question. She would like to know, do you find yourself being tied to your desk, or do you work from the couch, outside, on the go? Are you more flexible with your workplace, or do you have a space that you like to go to focus?
Yeah, I'm a hermit. I stay home. I'm such a hermit because I have my setup, I have my tea, my coffee. My podcast is just so comfortable here.
Oh, what podcast do you listen to?
Let's see. A lot of comedy, so a lot of like comics podcasts. I love. I really like Greg Fitzsimmons' podcast. I don't know if many people are familiar. He's a comedian. Who else? I love I recently like subscribed to the Curiosity Stream app, which is like a whole bunch of documentaries. So I have those in the background too. And yeah, sometimes it's just random stuff that just pops on YouTube. I watch some like internet drama, which I don't know if I should be subjecting my brain to, but a little too interesting sometimes.
It's like, yeah, I find that when I get home after work, and if I'm doing some sketching or if I'm doing something else, I love having just trash TV on in the background. I think that's kind of the same, right? It's an audio trash with sort of the rubbish that you can find on YouTube and stuff, just to turn your mind off.
Exactly, just like something brainless. I don't even know what I'm listening to, but it's like a noise. Do you have anything specific, like a trash TV that's I guess that's true.
I don't know if I really want to out myself.
Oh my god, okay. No, I was being careful too. I'm like, there's some stuff that I don't want to be associated with, but I listen to it because it's there.
No, I'm in a stage at the moment where I'm just re-watching television that I have watched before rather than trash. I'm going through Grace and Frankie again at the moment. I don't know if you've seen that. It's on Netflix. Jane Fonda and I can't remember her last. Lisa Tomlin, is it? Anyway, it's really, really good. They're like elderly ladies, and their partners, their husbands have a law firm together, and they're about 70 years old, and their husbands come out as gay together and leave the wives, and then it's kind of like this drama ensues, and how they, how do they continue to have a good relationship and the kids and like all of this. And it's really, really good, really wholesome, really heartwarming.
Oh, really? That's cool.
It is. It's a really good show. I really enjoyed it. But if I am going to out myself, then I did go through a stage where I was watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians as my trash TV show.
Yeah.
And it's just mind-numbing. I could just feel my brain switching off every time I put the television on. It's perfect what I needed.
I don't think it's bad. I don't think any of this is actually bad unless, obviously it's like hindering your life.
Yeah, totally. Lily Tomlin. Thank you, Edric, for jumping into the chat there to help me out with that one.
I know there's I just mentioned, the Curiosity stream, which is really cool because they're all very well curated documentaries. They're factual. They're checked or proof. What's the word I'm looking for? I guess fact checked.
Yeah.
But I catch myself just like pausing and listening because it's like really good information. So sometimes like I can't. This requires my brain to pay attention. And I can't. Yeah, so I'm like, okay, back to whatever comes up.
Back to audio junk.
Yes.
Artliet would like to know, do you feel like your 2D art has influenced your filmmaking and vice versa?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, now I think that I know what I want from the software to do, and I'm just trying to replicate that, and it really helps just by having this experience of doing it for so many years. like just 2D. And then when I need to do something 2D that has that like refined look, I sometimes do a digital pass and then try to just see what I did. So it's like kind of like a back and forth process. See what I did digitally and just see and trying to like kind of dissect that process and the effect that I'm getting so that I can do it traditionally. Same with animation, like weirdly enough, like animation, especially 3D animations, influence a ton how I think about posing and silhouette.
Yeah.
And like subtlety of facial expressions, because 3D animation can get very, very subtle. Pixar is like the best at doing that. So I learned a lot from even like my coworkers there. They're like how to create these beautiful emotional scenes, and I just catch myself like thinking the same things I do when I'm animating, but now doing just drawings. All right, so now I like this. I'm just gonna merge it. There we go. And pop another layer and continue doing this process. I'm not sure how far I'm gonna be able to go here. I'll do my best. And hopefully you'll see something more finished. And then I'll finish it too later on and show you kind of the final result.
You can have a final reveal later.
Yeah.
Oh, Jackson in the comments says, what sort of stuff do you like on Curiosity Stream? They've just ended up getting an annual pass based on what you've said.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's so funny. I mean, it's crazy cheap. I can't believe it's like $15 per year. Which is like, what?
Yeah, wow.
I love right now, like learning about just obscure historical stuff that they have. I don't know, like what did I watch? Oh, you know what I watched? It was kind of a timeline on European royalty.
Right, okay.
And just how like certain royal families obviously are still around, and then some disappeared, and how that happens was very interesting. So messy too. Oh my god.
Yeah.
If you want drama, sure. Just watch that. It's incredibly crazy.
Drama. Brilliant.
But I think because it's behind a paywall, they don't have to worry about being obviously very critical of certain like individuals and what they were doing, and like being associated with bad people, especially like during the world wars. So you get crazy details about like what's going on and how they're entangled. That was very interesting. I just finished it, but it was like kind of a little like I had to take a breather after that. Like, oof, this is heavy stuff. So messy, especially the I mean, I'm not gonna spoil anything. Just watch it. It's great. And now I'm watching. What am I watching? Let's see. I think I was just watching it. European Inventor Awards.
Okay, cool.
Very cool too. So you learn about things like the latest in farming robotics, which is pretty cool to learn how cows are less stressed when they're being milked, and how that was achieved by kind of a combination of AI and robotics. And now we have happy cows. And they won the European Inventor Award.
Yeah, wow.
For that. Incredible stuff. It's like so interesting.
I'm going to have to check that out later. I think that sounds absolutely excellent. Artliet again in the chat is asking, do you ever use 3D blockouts for planning your pieces?
I don't know what that is. So I guess my answer will be I don't use
Probably not.
Probably not. 3D blockouts?
Yeah, feel free to elaborate further on that, Artliet, in the chat if you'd like to. Tell me if I'm wrong.
I create a 3D model?
Yeah, I'm wondering whether they mean a 3D model to plan things. So let us know and we can clarify on that, but probably not based on Eleeza's.
I haven't done any of that. I'm trying to think if there's like anything close to that I've done. Not really. Sometimes I just use a ton of references and try to think 3D, like lighting, and kind of like plan it really well that in that regard. But it'll be something like this kind of a planning, not really like in a 3D environment.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh, they have clarified. Yeah, using a 3D program to plan things out in the canvas. Just they were wondering because you mentioned 3D animation, so we thought maybe that would be a part of your process at some stage. But yeah,
interesting. I mean, why not? Sounds cool.
They're also interested. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's just whatever works as quickly as I can. I just like to have things done when I need them, and I feel like something like this might take longer to plan and execute. But again, it could be something valuable for a project that actually requires it. So now I'm kind of like roughly have everything laid out here. What I want to do is I'm merging first. So these are the faces, as you can tell. This is kind of like what they look under the pencil. So you can really see how much the pencil just pluses right off the bat. You know, you get a lot of free stuff.
Yeah, wow.
And I sometimes do like kind of an overall pass, like a lighting pass. So what I would do is create a new layer, and then with a rough, like I like to use brushes that are textured, something like this, like blotchy texture. I will use maybe a lighter patina, even lighter than that. Oops. And create just a kind of a quick wash, because I want to have the centerpiece really stand out, right? So I use this. I will blend it again with a textured brush, and I'll play around with the different modes here just to see which one will give me some of that like lighting variation, but without losing that nice salmon pink shading that I did. So an overlay does a pretty good job. So I'll keep that. So merge this already. Okay. So now we'll do that orb in the middle, which I don't know what it is, but I hope this doesn't ruin the creative process for anybody. You're like, oh, that's it?
Like, whoa. No, I think it's really interesting to see the creative process from people, especially bringing traditional sketches into digital is a really interesting way, and just seeing you toggle the sketch layer on and off before to show how much of that extra little spice, as I was saying before, that brings into the artwork is really cool to see.
And I think it's like a nice marriage between digital and traditional, and keeping the like both the good take the good of both worlds and try to preserve it.
Yeah, definitely.
Whatever reason.
It's been really interesting to see you paint in the bronze as well underneath the sort of patinaed colors, because I think metallics is something that a lot of especially beginner artists struggle with. You know, when you have to learn how to paint in those lighting things yourself because you don't have a feature in Procreate that can just automatically do metallics and light refraction for you. It's
absolutely. That's why I keep the reference. I don't know how a lot of times like these things actually work. Know how light bounces off of metal.
Yeah.
I mean, as you can see, it was like a very specific copper versus brass versus blah blah blah, and it references really help for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm such a huge advocate for just using as many references as you need, or just have them for inspiration. Even it never hurts to keep them around.
Absolutely. I think that's a nice little segue to another question which did pop up in the comments, I think again from Artliet, who wanted to know, how do you collect your references?
Great question. It really depends. I mean, if I knew that I wanted to do this, so I just researched quickly and picked the closest thing to what I have in my mind. Like find other times is just things that I like and I've saved, and I go back to kind of like a Pinterest mood board. I also have my own references that I've collected for many years when I've done, you know, either like pictures or collages. Sometimes there's random things and I've liked how they look together, so I'll create like kind of my own mood boards that are not even just like color. They're not even like a particular thing.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone in the comments is saying absolutely no way. They love seeing your process. And thinks it's super interesting. Everything Exploration says it's cool seeing artists' process and helps further demystify making art and making the process more grounded.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And just like not fearing the canvas. I think it's always something that I can struggle with, but it gets better with time. Like the more you do it, the less intimidating it feels. And I guess it's with like everything in life. The more you do it, it just becomes like second nature.
Yeah.
So what is this here? Oh yeah, I was pointing to something. So this is looking decent, but now I feel like that big blue shape or teal shape in the middle is kind of distracting me a little bit. It's looking too blue and throwing me off. I just can't picture the piece. So what I'm going to do is actually start searching for that overall color. I want it to be a little more muted. I might do something similar to what I did in the faces, just so that they kind of go together. So that's something I just haven't figured out if I should keep it as cloth or do like a sculptured cloth, kind of like, you know, the sculpture itself, just, you know, something made out of metal, or maybe a hybrid. So I don't know. And this will be a discovery process. But what I want to do initially, since I'm already kind of like, okay, I definitely want cloth. And I already have it from the drawing, so I'm gonna just work on that. And I can always add these kind of textural details and specifics later on, and play around with just what kind of a texture this fabric has. So for now, I just want to kind of do the same as I did initially in the masks and just plus what I already got from the pencils. So I'll just work on some of these shadows here to make these faces pop a little more. And I work quick and I work fast. Again, I don't really care about how beautiful these textures look. They can look pretty basic for now. Oops. And as long as I get the right idea, everything else will be just plussing this. And I'm gonna just deselect because sometimes the selection tool can throw me off a little bit of like what colors are where. Okay, I'm gonna go back to it now and continue. Oops. Just want to make sure I'm not on like an obscure layer, which can happen. And so since this orb here, the moon, is going to be glowing, I need to factor in that there's going to be a glow coming from there. So the shadow here will be kind of towards the middle because it's it's lit on both sides. And sometimes with cloth, I will get more reference because I think this one, you can already notice that the folds are pretty basic. I think I didn't care to make them very like true to life, and I actually wish I paid more attention because now I'm kind of like I need reference for better folds so they don't look odd and fake, if that makes sense. But again, it's okay for now.
That's fine. You're tackling a lot of things within this live stream that I think a lot of artists struggle with. Like we've got metal here, we've got cloth, we've got the human figure, of course, which is another really difficult thing for a lot of artists. So kind of mashing it all into the one stream here.
I know. I wish I planned this. Maybe pre-planned it where I did a lot of these things beforehand. But if this is interesting and informational, that's awesome. I'm happy to obviously not have like a finished thing at the end and get as close as I can to that. But that's kind of like the fun too. Is like once I start, it's just, oh my gosh, I get lost in these and do them for hours and hours and hours.
How do you get yourself to stop? Like, how do you decide when a piece is done?
I don't know. You know, it's like, I don't know. Sometimes I think I'm done, and then later on I look at it like, I can work a little more on this, and vice versa. You know, sometimes I overwork a piece, and then like, I wish I stopped like 2 hours ago because now it feels a little too overdone. And usually when I start to kind of question things and just like touch here, touch there, is when I'm like, you know what? Let me take a breather. I can always go back to this, but I definitely don't want to just have a fatigued eye, and I'm so used to what I'm seeing that I can't really judge it for what it is.
Yeah.
So I do step away from things often. I think that's why when one of the chatters asked me, do I work on multiple things? Most of the times, I just have many things just laying around so I can bounce back according to how you go with the fresh eye.
Yeah, definitely. Stepping away is really good for the process sometimes. Really helpful.
Yeah, it really helps.
Mr. Highshine would like to know, do you do much figure drawing from life? And if you've ever done that in Procreate?
Yeah, I've done both. Especially when I was going to gesture drawings, I would take my iPad often and literally do what I'm doing now, but just line work. Really helps in gesture drawing. because you have these like kind of bulk brushes that you don't necessarily get quickly with just a pencil, unless I'm not doing pencil and something like charcoal. But this is such a sad thing to admit. I'm lazy sometimes. And especially with charcoal, it's such an investment in like cleaning and keeping like clothes clean. I just don't want to deal with it. So the iPad is perfect for just a great substitute. And when you get the right brushes in there, it doesn't even feel like it's different. So I guess it's not like necessarily laziness, it's just more of saving time on the back end of cleanup. Yeah, that's the beauty of having like a digital mobile tool. It's just so convenient. Take you anywhere.
Yeah, no cleanup, no setup. So easy.
Yeah, it's really easy. Oops. Okay. So right now I'm trying to get an interesting, I guess, shading pattern to break that big blob in the middle. And it feels more interesting and more dimensional, and I'm trying obviously also to match what we did in the faces so they don't feel too detached from each other. And just a light and shadow play here. Nothing really different than what I did before. So again, I'm using the same hard brush, the smudge, and I'm going back forward here. I'm not introducing any new colors just yet, just because I want to get some of those shadows right first before I make it more complex. It can get muddy quickly. Then I have to kind of deconstruct what I did and go back to like many steps. Again, if you can spare yourself doing some of those, it's pretty helpful. But also, I mean, if you don't have a process and you haven't figured that out, again, trying stuff and not being afraid to try stuff is key. Yes, I knew my brush changed. Okay, perfect. I knew I changed my smudge and then I forgot that I changed it. And I'm back to this.
I know that you said just before that you'd prefer to have a reference for the cloth here so that you could see how it folds and stuff, but this is looking incredible to me. So
oh, really?
I'm just having such a good time watching this develop.
Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it, and I trust you. It looks believable, so that's all I want. Honestly, sometimes like I have a hard time coming up with fabric. That's like definitely something I struggle with, just out of the top of my head. It always looks weird and not good enough. I mean, I guess can get pretty close if I pay attention to, you know, the physics of cloth and what I've obviously drawn. But then every time I have reference, it's just little details that really make it look beautiful. And I'm like, see, I cannot come up with this. There's no way, unless I've done it a bajillion times, which I just haven't. So I guess that's something that I probably am more self-conscious than I should be. But just being super honest about it.
Yeah, I think we're all our worst critics. It's all, the work that you do is always going to be really, you're never going to be happy with it completely, I don't think, a lot of the time. Sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you know all your mistakes, you know the little
Yeah.
shortcuts you took to, because you're like, I'm good here, I'm good there, and definitely that.
Ricardo wants to know, do you get bored of using digital? They find it really hard to keep using digital all the time. That's interesting.
I mean, I don't do it all the time. I think that's why I never get bored of it, because I just do it enough and paired it with my 2D, my traditional work where it doesn't become like I'm doing the same thing over and over. But that's like it's the same thing, I guess, with any medium. Like when you feel like you're hitting a point where you're just uninspired or whatever's going on, just switch it up, and it really helps kind of like get your brain to work in a slightly different way and really invigorate what you're doing. Because I don't think it's never the tool's fault. It's literally how you use it and why you use it. And that's something that I've I always find fascinating, when people tell me, especially like the blending stump, which is like such a basic tool. People are like, oh, I've never used this, or my professor told me I never used this. Like, well, I don't understand how people can blame a tool for for it not being utilized to its potential. It's kind of like seeing just average drawings and then blaming the pencil for them. It makes zero sense. Or the digital, same with digital, like if you feel like you're doing something that's not where you want it to be, again, not the digital platform's fault. Again, I don't know if that answers the question, but I guess I'm just saying try new stuff or try to change your setup.
Yeah, definitely.
Help kind of go out of the whatever funk you're experiencing.
Is there a particular medium, traditional or digital, so I guess a medium or a particular software that you like to use that you don't regularly do, but you do it to switch things up and change that focus that you were just talking about there?
If it's traditional, since it's hard for me to sometimes, as I mentioned, I could have a kind of complex setup, but I do have it just for those moments where I'm like, okay, I'm ready to do something that's not what I usually do, and just like snap out of that comfort zone. So usually it's like kind of like wet media. So anything from like watercolor, ink, anything that get messy is my go-to. And I forget how fun it is. And I do it. I'm like, of course I should do this all the time. But again, it's just a little bit of a hiccup with the setup that prevents me from doing it, like on a regular basis. But that's also exciting because then when I do it, it feels awesome.
Yeah.
And I guess it'll be like the equivalent of that will be a slightly different setup with my brushes, and like trying new brushes and like sticking with a few that I haven't usually utilized, but I see other people use. And if I get recommendations, I definitely want to try that and work with textures, which I don't use a ton. Like actually having your own textures and peppering in with whatever digital piece I'm doing to break up that look that I'm usually getting. Yeah. Okay, that's looking overall okay. So now I'm just going to merge it per usual, and then select it again, and then another layer. And just like what we did with the face, I want to do kind of an overall wash, just to create a focal point, I guess. And I really like this color, so let me see what this gives me here. I'll use a textural brush. It's a little dark. Okay. And this is something I do just to kind of unify things from the get-go before I get too much into the details, and I'm not invested in just look yet, so we can make bolder choices now easier than later. So when you start doing like the crazy details, you're like, I don't want to experiment too much. You start playing it a little more safe. So now is a good time to just play around and see what this gives you. And if it doesn't give you anything, just erase it like nothing happened.
We can forget about it.
And you forget about it like it never happened. And, let's see what different modes give me here. Yeah, overlay again. Wings. This is pretty neat too. I don't like this actually. Let's see again. Overlay versus divide. I like this. All right, I'll stick with this and continue here. So I do a lot of this kind of like back and forth, just to, why not? Let's see what gives you. And ooh, that was cool. I like this.
Feels very moon goddessy, as you were explaining the background of this character earlier on.
Awesome. I've been definitely using a lot of pink, so as soon as that pink happened, I'm like, oh, there you go. I like it. Even the show that they have right now, ton of pink, which I didn't realize until I saw like kind of the body of work. I'm like,
right, there's a trend there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find that happens quite often to you? Do you go through different stages where you find yourself trending? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why. Just whatever your brain wants to do, it does it. And so here what I'm doing is I want to have a little bit of light coming in here, which creates this feeling of some distance and air. I'm not 100% into losing some of those shadows under the chin here, so I'm gonna go back and erase a little bit of those, just because I kind of lost that feeling of volume here. I also like the pink. Let's see if I can. Okay. Have a little bit of it. Okay, that's better. I'm gonna erase some of it so it's not the same throughout. So create a really nice pop of light in that middle section. I'm gonna preserve that. Now, because of the contrast right here. It's a little too much and it's kind of drawing your eye there. So I'm gonna get rid of this just so that we can have the focus be, you know, to dead center. Cool, let's see what we have. Okay, that's pretty neat here. I'm gonna minimize just so you know it's coming kind of together slowly, and I'm thinking the arms are going to be the same like the faces. They're going to be bronze, and I might have some of that like nice teal patina go down the cloth so that it's like a unifying thing throughout, but I don't think I'm going to make it bronze. The fabric, I mean, I think it's going to be fabric just so that there's contrast. I'm a fan in general of like having things be contrasting one another. It's visually very pleasing. So I'm going to get my palette back. And I'm going to select the arms. I just want to get it to a place where overall there's like no you know, green arms basically happening.
Getting rid of that gorgeous green that
that beautiful
that lady wanted to know.
Yes.
Roselli in the chat, she would like to know, do you tend to spend more time doing digital or traditional art?
I've definitely been doing more traditional. Just, I don't know why. I'm just on the binge of that. But I do, literally what I'm doing right now, I do like 99% of the time, which is do a digital sketch, and I just have, I'm sorry, not a digital sketch, a traditional sketch, either in ink or pencil. And sometimes I just know it's going to be better once I bring it into the digital realm and start playing around with it. So some drawings are literally made just so that I can do this right now, and then you know, do a combination of the two. So that will be what I do the most, I guess.
Hybrid art.
Sorry?
Hybrid art.
Yeah, exactly. Just mixed media all around. Okay, so right now I'm just gonna add some shadows here. Do we have time? I don't know how we're doing on time.
How are we doing for time? Oh, wow. It's about 10 to 3 in Australian time, rather.
Oh
so,
my gosh.
Sorry, I can't remember what that translates
That's
to.
wild. You went so quickly.
So we start putting the colour in on the hands, but we might look to wrapping it up just because I know it's a bit later where you are. I don't want to keep you too long. If you've got any last questions for Eleeza, guys, put them through in the chat so that we can hopefully get them answered for you before we wrap up.
Yeah, totally. This is great. I can do this all night, but I also have to make sure I get some sleep.
Yeah, important.
No, I'm joking. It's totally fine. I hope this is so interesting to people because it's been 2 hours. That's crazy. I always think like, oh my gosh, how am I gonna fill time? And then all of a sudden I'm like, I need more time.
Yeah, just absolutely flies.
It's crazy. All right, so I'm just gonna touch the arms here and add some coloring. And since they're glowing, to come for that glow from the moon. And that moon is definitely not a moon shape. I mean, not even a perfect sphere. So I'm going to fix that later on. But for now, let's pretend it is. Alrighty. Almost there. Sorry for there. It's just warm. Come on, hands. All right, I think for the most part, this is a good place to stop and assess. And the little purple squiggles that we have initially.
Oh, yeah.
Change the colors of those so they're not. I mean, it's not bad. I just think they can look a little different, like maybe a little less saturated and. Be closer to this. So yeah, that's a good place to pause it.
Aw, getting some nice comments coming through in the chat here. Liet has come in again saying, not a question, but Eleeza's work is hugely influential for me and I really appreciate this stream. Aw, that's
Awesome.
really nice. Everything Exploration asks, how do you go about designing the line patterning that I always see in your work? Is it random? They think the element is so unique.
It's both. It's kind of random at times. Other times it's just, as I mentioned, like kind of going with the anatomy of a character. To be honest, I don't have like a very good answer because I don't really think about it. It's just like kind of it happens, and sometimes I erase them. For the most part, I don't. I just like the way lines break space quickly. So it's become like second nature to integrate them in my work. Just it's a little hard to articulate like why.
Yeah.
But that's the reasoning. It's just design, like breaking space, adding some visual interest. Because you can tell, I mean, like without it, it's okay, but like as soon as you pop it, there's like a nice kind of vertical flow that it's created just with a few lines, which is very quick.
Yeah, definitely. Sophia is looking for advice on what do you do to believe in yourself as an artist? That's a very broad question, but do you have any advice?
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. Just, I guess, have people you trust that can give you good criticism.
Yeah.
I don't think you ever really, as you said, like we're our worst critics, our biggest bullies sometimes, and it's hard to, if that inner voice is becoming like, if it's stopping you from creating, definitely have somebody around you that can be like, okay, like a teacher or whoever, you value their opinion. That's like one way to just like kind of bypass that internal voice of like you're never good enough. And also just practice. Like, the more you do it, the more you get a sense of like, okay, I know I'm in a good place. Maybe I'm not what I want to be, but I'm not like wandering, and you're not shooting in the dark. You kind of have an idea of what's going on and where you are. And I feel like because we know we can always improve, and never kind of that feeling never goes away of feeling like things can be better. But practice really definitely, I mean, that's like the biggest thing. Practice and having people you trust that can give you feedback as a viewer if things look good.
Yeah, definitely. Fantastic. Okay, well, I think that's it for the chat at this point. So we probably wrap it up there, guys. Thank you very much, Eleeza, for joining us. It's been so cool watching your process here today. Really lovely, really relaxing, really informative. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This is super fun.
I'm glad. I'm sorry to have distracted you a little bit and talked about trash television, but there we go. Seems to be a recurring theme of mine.
Anytime.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us in the chat. This stream will be re-uploaded at a later date, so if you didn't catch all of it today, don't stress. If you do have any questions for us or for Eleeza, I'm sure that she would be happy for you to comment or message her on Instagram.